One of the biggest car companies in the United States, Ford Motor Company, has been accused of breaking franchise laws. Laws about franchises govern the relationship between a franchisor and franchisee. They are meant to protect the franchisee and make sure that competition is fair. Ford committed infractions such as failing to give necessary support to franchisees, setting discriminatory sales quotas, and restricting franchisees' ability to sell used automobiles. The EV market is rapidly evolving. Things are evolving as we gain more information. However, Ford is implementing new strategies that many dealers would like to be happier with. Some believe Ford is breaking franchise laws. As a result, you may be unable to purchase a Ford EV at your local dealership. If you want to know more, Tech Addicts is the only place for you, so let's look into it right away. Ford Motor Company, one of the biggest automakers in the world, has recently been accused of breaking franchise laws with its new requirement that its dealerships buy electric vehicles worth $1.2 million. The new rules say that dealerships must invest in new infrastructure for charging EVs and other upgrades. Many franchisees think this is too much of a financial burden. Critics say that Ford's new requirements for electric vehicles go against franchise laws which govern the relationship between franchisors and franchisees and make sure that everyone is treated fairly. They think that the new rules unfairly limit franchisees' ability to compete in the market and place restrictions on them that aren't fair or reasonable. The American car maker has a vision of what Ford could be in the future following a string of recalls and outrage over warranty work. A substantial portion of that is focused on EVs. The issue is that Ford fully expects dealers to invest considerably in the electric vehicle initiative. To make EVs more available at local dealerships, people will need to be trained and public chargers will need to be added. Dealers will have to pay up to $1.2 million for this. That's a lot of money, and many dealers don't like having to pay that much just to sell electric vehicles. Ford has said that dealers can only spend $500,000 to make things better. It costs something though, and Ford will only sell 25 EVs per year, which will hurt dealer sales. Concerns have also been raised about Ford's lack of support and training for its franchisees because of the new EV requirements. Franchisees are wondering if they will get the tools and training they need to run their businesses well in light of the new EV requirements. Ford has defended its new electric vehicle requirements by saying that they are necessary for the company's move to EVs and for meeting the growing demand for EVs. But many franchisees aren't convinced and think that the new requirements unfairly put the financial burden on them instead of the company. Due to the accusations against Ford, there has been a lot of talk about how fair franchise laws are and what the rights of franchisees are. Some people think that franchise laws protect franchisees and make sure that competition is fair, but others say that these laws stop companies from growing and coming up with new ideas. Let's take a moment to talk about what franchise laws are before we get into the details of the violation. Franchise rules govern a company's interaction with its franchisees. These laws safeguard franchisees and allow them to run their businesses successfully. Franchise laws govern the connection between a franchisor and a franchisee who uses the franchisor's trademark, products, and operational systems to run a business. The goal of these rules is to protect franchisees and promote fair competition, while also allowing franchisors to expand their operations by establishing franchise sites. California passed the first franchise law in the United States in 1970, and numerous states have since followed suit with their own. Certain parts of franchising, such as disclosure and advertising, are also under the jurisdiction of the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC. One of the most critical aspects of franchise law is the obligation that franchisors present potential franchisees with a full disclosure statement. This document must include information such as the franchisor's business history, franchise agreement conditions, and financial performance. Another key feature of franchise law is the obligation that franchisors treat their franchisees fairly. This includes not imposing arbitrary limits on franchise operations, offering proper support and training, and not interfering with the franchisee's business. Franchise regulations also govern the sale of franchises and the termination of franchise agreements. For example, franchisors may not withhold consent for a transfer of ownership in an unreasonable manner, and they must offer proper notice before terminating a franchise agreement. In short, franchise rules are critical to ensuring fair competition and protecting franchisee rights. These rules aim to maintain the stability and success of franchise enterprises by regulating the connection between franchisors and franchisees. So why do some feel Ford's violating franchise laws? This really messes up the plans of people who want to sell EVs but don't want to spend a lot of money. and might also be against the law in some states. That is because it makes it hard for dealers to sell many different kinds of models. So the Southern Automotive Trade Association has helped Ford dealers who have to choose between spending a lot of money or not being able to sell many electric vehicles. The group has reached out to Ford in hopes that the American car company will be more open to working with its dealers. Ford, on the other hand, isn't too happy with this idea, and many dealers are said to think this is a good thing. But as more info comes out, some dealers who liked the idea at first are now having second thoughts. The main worry is that EVs don't need as much maintenance in the first few years of ownership as gas-powered cars do. This means that you won't have to pay for major engine repairs, oil changes, and more. Even though the brakes and tires will need work, the dealership will still make less money. Ford's answer is to try to sell more subscriptions to make up for the loss of income for maintenance. But many dealers know now how much it will cost and just want to talk about terms with Ford. What are the consequences for Ford? If you break the rules about franchises, the results can be very bad. Ford's being sued by multiple franchisees and could lose those. The company's reputation has also taken a hit, which could make it hard to find new franchisees in the future. What does it mean for consumers? The recent allegations against Ford of breaking franchise restrictions have sparked concerns about the implications for consumers. Franchise regulations are intended to safeguard franchisees and maintain fair competition, and when those laws are broken, the implication for consumers can be severe. One of the major consequences of Ford's violation of franchise restrictions is that the quality of service and products given by Ford dealerships may suffer. Franchisees that are financially burdened or lack company support may be unable to invest in the necessary modifications and resources to give the greatest possible customer experience. Furthermore, violations of franchise restrictions may result in less competition among Ford dealerships. If franchisees are unfairly restricted or hindered in their ability to compete, consumers may have fewer options and pay higher prices. Another source of concern for consumers is the impact Ford's franchise law violations may have on the long-term health and success of its dealership network. If franchisees are unable to conduct their business properly, the number of Ford dealerships may diminish, resulting in limiting access to services and products for consumers. Finally, charges that Ford violated franchise laws may have an influence on the company's reputation and brand image. Consumers are becoming more aware of the ethical and responsible practices of the businesses with whom they do business, and charges of law infractions can harm a company's image and reputation. Ford's violation of franchise laws has serious consequences for customers. It can lower the quality of service and products offered, limits competition among dealerships, have an impact on the long-term stability and success of the dealership network, and harm the company's reputation and brand image. Ford has 6 EVs up for sale. That's right, right now Ford has 6 electric cars. They are the Escape Hybrid, Escape Plug-in Hybrid, the Ford F-150 Lightning, the Mustang Mach-E, the Maverick, and the E-Transit van. People and critics alike are very interested in the Mustang Mach-E. It's probably one of Ford's most popular cars right now because it only takes 3.8 seconds to go from 0 to 60 miles per hour. Thanks to Lightning, the popular Ford F-150 is also a popular choice. It starts at $39,074, which isn't exactly cheap, but many people can still buy it. It can also go 230 miles on a single charge, which is pretty good. Each has the potential to bring in customers, but is that enough? The question is still open as to whether or not 6 cars are enough to get Ford dealers to spend $1.2 million to sell them. EVs are becoming more popular, but they still have a long way to go before they sell more than cars that run on gasoline. Still, it'll be interesting to see how things go from here and see if Ford has a better idea to cope with the situation. That's all for today. We'll be keeping a close eye on this situation with Ford, and we'll bring you the latest updates as they become available. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time.